Okay, let's try it again. Now we'll see if it runs. Still nothing. I want to start this video off with a little bit of a safety message. If you are not familiar with doing electrical work, don't try anything that you're going to see in this video. Electrical work is only to be done by well-qualified individuals. I have almost 2 decades of experience designing and deploying low voltage, high voltage, medium voltage power systems. So I'm well aware of what I'm doing here. None of this is to imply that you should try this yourself. Always hire a professional electrician. Since it's snowing out today and a little too cold out to do much else, we're going to do a little work in the garage today. We've got this 240 volt plug that runs the air compressor right now. Ordered a welder last week that should be here this week. So instead of putting this cord end on the welder, since we already have a bunch of these 1450s for RV plugs, we're going to swap out this 650 for this 1450 and then put a new cord end on the air compressor. So that's the plan for today. We're going to start by checking and making sure that the existing pipe is compatible with the new plug. So take our caliper, just go around the outside of that existing nipple, 1.25 inches, and then make sure that the knockout in the new one is the right size, which it is. So we are good to go there. Then the next thing we will do, check the breaker. So that's on a double pole 40 amp breaker. It's 50 amp plug, 40 amp breaker. Our new wire is 6.3, which is good for 50 amps. We're good for 50 amps here. We're good for 50 amps here. 50 amps here. We are breakered at 40 amps, so that is legal. Next, we'll take the dead front off the breaker box. Without scratching it would be great. The screws are awfully crooked. Okay, and at this point, everything behind this dead front will be hot. So before we do that, we probably ought to let the heater finish cycling and kill the lights and kill the main breaker, just for safety's sake. So we'll be back in a second after the heater gets done. Okay, I powered it off, took the dead front off. I powered it back on again though, because the lighting's not all that great with it turned off. So we already have, those are at least number 6s going down to that plug right now. We already have the neutral, and we already have the equipment ground. I'll show you a little bit closer what that looks like. So there's our plug chase nipple. There's our 2 hots, black and red, going to our 40 amp breaker. Our neutral comes up and hits the neutral bar, and then our green ground comes over, up, and hits our ground bar. So the box side of the wiring is good the way it is. So that means that all we really have to do is turn the breaker off. We'll unplug it. We will check voltage to make sure everything's dead. And we'll just change out the receptacle. Breaker's off, and I'm going to go grab a meter to make sure that it's actually off. I only trust fluke meters professionally, so some might say that's overkill, but that's just the way I am. Always want to make sure we check meter leads because they get subject to all kinds of weird things, slammed in doors, everything else. Going to select the volts AC setting. we're going to unplug our air compressor. And we're just going to check everything to everything else and make sure we're actually dead. So phase to phase, 470 millivolts. To ground, 400 millivolts. $380 millivolts. Test them up to the ground bar too, just because. 390, 33 millivolts. Okay, so all that checks out. That circuit should be dead. Okay, we're going to take that cover off. That looks good. Get in here and take this nut out. Okay, and we're going to determ the wires. I do always like to take a picture of how things were first. Usually for no good reason, but always nice to have a backup plan. Now we're taking the receptacle off the wall. I know it's dark and hard to see, but there's the old one. Okay, there's a knockout in the top of the new box. Just gonna stick a screwdriver in there. Need a little screwdriver. Work that out of there. I actually need that top one off too, or that little spacer. Extra ring. I'm gonna have to go over to the vise. I got the outer ring knocked out of that, so should be ready to go on the wall. Throwing stuff on the floor. Okay, we'll feed those wires through. And then we'll put this nut back on the bottom. Okay. Now, UPSs are dying. Make sure we don't have any whiskers sticking out. Looks good. Okay, and we'll have red over here. Same story. Make sure nothing's sticking out. Oh, these two are going to be a little bit more difficult. Most specifically the green. The white's not going to be too bad. The white's going to go in the top. And same thing, make sure we don't have any whiskers. I think we're clean. Now the tricky one's going to be the green one. Since this one has a lug terminal, whatever you want to call it for it, we don't need this ring anymore. So we're going to cut this ring off. We're also going to shorten this up a bit too. That's going to make this a lot easier. Take it off about there. Then we're going to need to restrip that again. Sorry, the lighting on this is terrible. Trying to get it back up as quick as I can. But the simple reality is that it is just absolutely not safe to do this stuff live. Okay, now we'll put the green one in the ground. Pull test all of them just to make sure. Good. Do one last sweep for hairs. Now we've still got our double 40 off because we still got to run the screws in there. But we're done touching bare conductors now, so gonna favor light and UPS power for all my network equipment over anything there, because it is verified dead anyway. And also maybe just a little bit because I need my battery too. That should be good. Now we gotta remember to tighten that nut back up again. That should be good. I'll show you a little bit about what we got going on. So we got black and red are our two hots. They're on the side posts or side terminals. We got green as ground. That is the center or the round one in the new plug. And then we got white, which is neutral. That goes all the way down to that bottom one on our new plug. So now that we have that done, we can put the cover back on it. One last visual, all is well. That should go in the center. And that is on there. Now we can go ahead and put the dead front back on the box and energize that breaker. Okay, dead front's back on. Should be able to turn the breaker on. Notice I'm going to turn away from it. You always want to do that when you operate equipment, breakers, switchgear. Arc flashes are no joke. Breaker's closed and held. Get our meter out again on volts AC. Check our leads one more time. Forgot to mention last time, always make sure your meter is rated for the voltage and the type of circuit that you are testing. 242.5, 121, 121, and 93 millivolts neutral to ground. So, looks like we're good. So, that takes care of the receptacle. Now, we need to do the plug. For the plug, at least we don't have to worry about electrocuting ourselves. So we're going to start by taking the old one apart. 2 screws, this back will open up. Okay, and now we have the same type of thing. Color code's a little bit different. And we only have 3 conductors in here. We're not going to use the neutral, so we have a hot, and the green is always ground. So we will black on the left, red on the right. So white on the right will determ those. I can push these pins out a little bit so I can get on it with a screwdriver. And then we'll loosen up the strain relief. And that should pull out of there. Just like such. Since this plug is still absolutely perfectly good, we'll put it back together so all the pieces stay where they belong. And just like that, we're ready for the new one. Now, new one's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pins, where the old one had 3. Again, we're not going to use that neutral wire, so we'll take this one apart. Same type of deal. The plug will open up so we can get to the inside. Okay, there's the back off of it. Now the way these plugs work are round one's always ground, hot, and neutral. Neutral is the bottom vertical one. Same thing on that one. We can push these pins out a little bit so we can get at the back of them. These ones were a little snug, so I had to tap on them a bit. And then our cord. We're going to go ahead and make sure that neutral screw's snugged up, just so it doesn't rattle loose and fall off, which it is. Okay. So we've come in here. Back the cord grip off a little bit. Feed the cord through it. Just trying to get a sense for what we got for length here. We might be all right. Feed the cord through, we'll tighten that cord grip up so the cord will stay in place. Okay, that'll work for now. Okay, got the black in, going for the white. Watching for hairs sticking up along the way. Because if you got little hairs that stick up and touch things they shouldn't touch. The best thing that happens is you get a whole bunch of sparks. The worst thing that happens is you get a big bang and a trip to the hospital. Or perhaps worse. The black, pull test good. White, pull test good. Now all we got left is the green. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to push those pins back in. Looks like they're even on the outside. That one's not quite all the way in. Okay, then the back. I'll show you the inside of that first. So, we've got black. This is going to go on this side. We got white, which is proxy for our red, which is going to go on this side. We've got nothing on the neutral because this motor that the air compressor runs off of doesn't use the neutral. And then we've got green as our equipment ground. That's going to be our top round pin. One more check for hairs, none seen. So we'll put the back on. All right, now let's plug it in and see what happens. Should be good to go. Only problem with this one is it's ugly and yellow, but it's got a nice handle on the back. I don't know if the air compressor is low enough to actually turn on. If it does, it's going to get real loud here for a second. It's not. I'm going to blow it down just a little bit because I want to make sure it runs. Okay, let's try it again. Now we'll see if it runs. Still nothing. Okay, now we'll try it again. All right, well, there we have it. We swapped out the cord end, we swapped out the receptacle, we tested everything. Air compressor runs good. Now we've got a 50 amp receptacle. We'll put the same type of plug on the welder when it gets here next week. And then we have the same plug that's compatible with all the receptacles, both here and out at the farm. Thanks for watching.